Hello everyone, Moon Trades here, and today I wanted to talk about the trades I took today, my overall review of the market, and where I see it going next. Before we get into the video, make sure to like, subscribe, join the free Discord, link is down in the description, and let's get right into it. Now, I first wanted to get into my NASDAQ review because I thought it was really interesting. So yesterday I talked about how I thought the market was just going to rip. We took out this liquidity level, we took out this liquidity level, and we made this setup that I thought was really bullish, that I explained in my video of determining daily bias on a smaller time frame. So we consolidated, we kept going lower, we kept building up liquidity, right? So I was going long like right here. Now, in hindsight, like I could have risked like this many points. Like, how many is this? Like 20, 30 points. And this ran 300. So, obviously hindsight helps. I'm not even gonna say I should have held because I was down quite a bit here. So that's obviously a problem. But I think this is helping me understand how I need to refine my entries. No one is perfect, and this is just a perfect example of this. I I had this long here. It ended up failing. It made this, which made me think that price was going to reverse because this looked like a really bullish setup. It did for a while, but then it failed, went back down, and finally it wanted to take out this low, and then we ripped, which I thought was really interesting. So my bias ended up being correct, and guess what? It continued into the next day all the way to the top of this range, which is absolutely amazing. So I basically, if I had gotten this trade a little bit better, I could have held this for a beautiful swing. This would have been a beautiful swing. All the way to the top of the range, that's just perfect. And then, because this kept continuing to go up today in the morning, this was making me think, oh, we're going to go down. We had a huge reversal yesterday. We made a lot of liquidity pre-market, pre-session. Remember I talked about this? We make some kind of dip lower to rip higher, and that's my setup to go lower. But we didn't really do that. We didn't end up going lower. So what happened? Guess what? This is something that I'm finding to be true multiple times. There has to be a willingness for the market to go lower at the beginning of the day, okay? Especially if it's a strong bullish day. There has to be a huge run, okay? Possible consolidation, and then it tanks probably at 11, 10 to 11. Now, here's the problem. It came back down at 10 o'clock to here to the original accumulation, okay? And it held this. So we took out basically all of these buyers who are long, okay? This will illustrate it a little better. This is what I noticed happens a lot. There tends to be a lot of accumulation up to this. It comes back down, it takes all of this, and if it holds this range and doesn't actually continue lower, that means it's actually just a retracement to go higher. And that's what ended up happening. So remember this, okay? You have a large move up, you have consolidation in between, you have accumulation, you come back down, but you hold. And that means we just came back as a retracement and not actually to go lower. If we have this kind of hold here, this also made kind of the demand, right? It was a consolidation, we ripped out, we ended up holding again, and then we continued higher. So in conclusion, this has to be used with the context of how is price moving now. So I can't just say, oh, we have this, right? We have this setup, right? Which, again, is my favorite setup to go short. If we're going, this is my setup to go long. If we're going down like this, that means we're kind of inducing traders to go short here and we'll reverse, okay? But this is the lesson I've been learning. Don't just trade price just because, or don't just trade a pattern just because it's there. Trade a pattern because it makes sense in the overall context, right? This context makes sense because even though I would like to see shorts because of this huge move and this accumulation right here, look at this. We have this original accumulation that we weren't even able to break below. we weren't even able to really reach into. And that's making me think that's a reversal. We had this hold of this original move up that retraced and ended up reversing again. So continue to add all the knowledge you know with all the context that there is. Don't just take setups because they're there. I think that's the biggest lesson to learn. This is super important. Don't take setups just because they're there. Okay? So I did take this short. I got a good move out of it, but I was expecting it to go lower, and that did not happen. Okay? Don't trade setups just because they're there. So this was a fine short. I'm fine with this short. I'm fine with this trade. Like overall, it makes sense. We had this kind of nice build up. We kind of made this setup that I really like, where we take out this level, we come back and retest it, and we went lower. And this was honestly a really good trade. I'm happy with it. Again, this was just it actually ended up making like a 60% trade. So this was fine. I think the problem is when you're holding it for a longer time, you need to see price confirm what you're seeing. And that was not happening. We were holding this original accumulation that also made demand, and then we just continued higher. Okay. So I think that's all for the review section. I'm going to be moving over to swinging. So now on to Pinterest, which I did discuss yesterday. I saw something really interesting happen. This is gold, guys, okay? Take notes here, okay? Gaps are extremely important, okay? I think gaps it represents a lack of trading volume in the trading session, right? So I see a gap, right? That was my original price target for this, okay? Once I saw it hold and act as support, and then saw it break down and act as resistance, that is key, guys. This is extremely important stuff right here. So you have this support within the gap. The gap is acting as support, which is confirming that this trade where it's being traded right now is a key level, okay? This is key. So it's not just a gap and it breaks through and it doesn't really do anything. This is holding as support. So it clues me into the fact that maybe in the future it's going to be used as resistance. It breaks down, and this is the swing trade right here, guys. It's up so far, it's up a little bit over 30%. I took this trade. I'm really happy with this trade, actually, because we retested that gap with the idea in mind that hopefully the market goes down a little bit tomorrow. This is already super relatively bearish, okay? So obviously I have other swings that are in calls, but I also think those positions will be relatively strong because they have been. So I'm holding them on both sides of the market, which is really interesting. It will be interesting to see how it works out. But this is the retest of the gap. I took it around right here. When we came down, we made a lower high, lower low. And then I ended up catching this entire move, which is like 30, 40 cents from the high to this entire low. It was 30 cents. And now it's actually down after hours. Like at this low, I was up 30%. So I might be down a little bit. But this was a beautiful move for Pinterest. I was really happy with this trade. I liked what I was seeing. Guys, use what seems a little bit off or really interesting. That's kind of what I do, right? So I'm seeing this gap. I'm seeing it hold. I'm seeing it hold. I'm seeing the stock break down and show relative weakness. I'm seeing it come back, retest, and I want to take the short for the rest of the day, and that worked out beautifully. And it's down after hours, and I'm thinking it continues. Okay, I'm thinking this could run 100% possibly. Now let's talk about Roku because I think this trade was just absolutely beautiful. I called this trade out yesterday. I was in it yesterday right here. And look what happened. That was just, for me, this trade was just, I loved this trade so much. Like it showed so much relative strength, like right from the open. Like it was up like 2 or 3% right away. This is where I sold near the top because I saw this area as like a large selling area. Again, I actually used the strategy that I explained. Let's see. I used the strategy that I explained as this one right here, where I explained fair value gaps. I used this as a price target. Now, obviously, it continued, but as you can see here, this was a lower volume area, like right here, the specific price point. So when I saw it could start going down from here. It's actually kind of hard to see from here. Let's see. Let me go like on a 15-minute. Let's see. Might help illustrate it a little bit better. And then we drag it to this initial move lower. That's the imbalance right there. See how there's this huge candle with this, it's unrepresented by the volume there. So I'm thinking there's going to be heavy selling, and that's what we do. We sell off before we retrace even higher. So you could have held this trade for 60 to 63, which is just, actually, I'm sorry, 60.5 to 63 to 64 actually, because it ended up making this high right here. So 64. That's beautiful. It honestly is. Like, it ended up making me, I sold at open, that was 100%, and you could have even continued to hold for even like 150, 200%. That's amazing. And it's so simple. Like, it's not anything extremely complex or hard to understand, right? You have this original hold, you have this original support, you have the breakdown, you have a couple of retests, okay? Even you could take it on this retest. It ended up going higher. This retest, it went higher. This retest, it went higher. Just this confirms it as an especially strong level. Because you could just take anything off of support. It doesn't really mean anything. This trade for me meant that there was buyers here because it ended up going down, but then got bought up extremely quickly, and these are where a lot of traders were trapped, which means higher, like a higher force of volume to go higher. So like I just really like this trade, and I'm really happy with the way it worked out. So I called this yesterday, called it in the Discord. So you should definitely join. There's a lot of great trades like this. Now for this last swing, I specifically want to talk about this level that I specifically discussed yesterday. So I told you about this level that I thought was really strong and that price could retrace to go higher. And look what we did. Literally to the exact level. This was specifically the level that I was interested in because I thought if we reclaim this level, we could retest and go higher. And that's exactly what we did. We came off a 24-year low with like a good amount of buying pressure. And there we go. We came to this level. That is like a 50-60% trade. I saw this late, unfortunately. So I took it like right here. I'm currently up like 20% on my trade. I have this level marked out because there's especially heavy selling pressure. But I do think this trade can continue higher, so I'm holding it. This was an area of interest for me for buying pressure, where there is a gap. So I'm also keeping that in mind. It was holding it, so I was like, we can stay in this trade, and hopefully it continues higher after hours. But it's just beautiful how this works out, right? You have this original area of support, you have something pushing price higher, coming back down, and continuing. And notice how it's specifically this area that sent the price off, right? Like you had this, we dipped back down, but then after we touched this, we ripped and just ripped. We just were gone. And I just really think that's just really amazing, and I really like that. So just watch for these setups, keep them in mind. I called this one yesterday. I said watch this level. If you had taken this level, it would have been perfect. You would have literally had 100% trade potentially if you had sold in this heavy selling pressure area that I also explained that you can find with the indicator, this one right here, supply, demand, and equilibrium zones. You just trace this from this to like just a retracement level. So like this high to this low, and as you can see, there's a gap here. There's just no there's just a lack of just trading volume and just super heavy selling just right into this. There's not really an exchange of buyers and sellers. This is where it accumulated, tapped into it once, and then just tanked. Now we're back into it. So I am cautious here. I am hoping this continues, but I think this time, with the amount of buying coming in, I really think we can take out this level. So yeah, that's it for Dish. If you enjoyed the video or learned anything, make sure to like and subscribe. Leave a comment. Tell me if you liked it or not. And join the free Discord. See you in the next one.